Your house is on fire.
Okay.
Your house is on fire. Name two things you will. Name two things you will quickly go in and come out with.
Laptop and my phone.
Laptop and your phone. Man, technology in this generation. Hey,
Because all the money is there.
seriously? You can go to the bank and access your money.
You're listening to Blue Radio, bringing the vibe.
Welcome to the Breakfast of Champions, of course, as always, live, locked and ready. This is Man Lakipto alongside OT, the entertainer, of course, bringing you the vibe straight out of Swahili Port Hub. As I said, man, earlier, we are here to bring you updates over the Pwani Innovation Week as they unfold. Now, the moment of truth, the moment we all have been waiting for, is here with us. As I said, I'll be joined by executives from Tactive Consulting. And before I introduce them, I was reading your bios yesterday, and I had to say, can't you have like a simpler definition or a simple way of just saying, you know, I'm so and so, and I do ABCD. Especially, I was reading yours, and I was like, Sasa, how do I even start? Yeah. So I want to welcome Victoria to the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, karibu sana.
Asante.
Mr. KAYE MATEREKE, karibu tena sana.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, I was reading, doing my research, and I understand you're from Zimbabwe. I've attended some of the master classes. How do you say good morning in Zimbabwe?
You say mangwanani.
Mangwanani.
Yeah.
All right, a man has to learn every day. How do you say good morning, Victoria, in your language?
Oh, that's a good question. I only know hello in Kikuyu. Yeah.
So I had a friend who told me you say uhoromani.
Yes.
It's uhoromani, see?
Yes.
All right. So, of course, ladies and gentlemen, so if you're locking in, remember, you can trace us anywhere in the world, www.radio.co.ke. Now, being on a Thursday, I want to take you back, first and foremost, Mr. KAYE, of course, being a founder of Tactive, and I want us to start with a background. How did Tactive come to be? You know, What was that defining moment that you realized I want to do this?
Great. First of all, it's such a pleasure to be here, and it's such a pleasure to be at Swahili Port. The energy is amazing. There are so many young innovators. There are so many key stakeholders. We have government, we have development agencies, and I think everyone's coming together just to see how we can really empower the youth and really help them sail beyond borders. In my context, maybe talking about Tactive, before Tactive, I worked for an organization called shopsoko.com. It's essentially an accessory business. I met 3 female founders who wanted to connect marginalized artisans with a global market. 2 of them were American, 1 of them was Kenyan. I became their consultant, then became their employee number 1. We basically created more than 2,500 jobs. We were shipping to 65 markets. We had Michelle Obama wear our product on the cover of Essence magazine. We were on the cover of Oprah magazine. Coming from Zimbabwe, I empathize with young people who cannot get access to work because of either a lack of infrastructure in the economy or a lack of innovators who can deliver platforms that can actually create employment. And so when I went into Soko, I was attracted to the vision that the 3 founders had, and then we worked with the artisans. And anyone who's worked with an artisan, they'll say an artisan is not reliable, they'll say that they're difficult to deal with, etc., etc. But you know, when you have the intention to empower someone and they get value from what they see you help them with, they perform like anybody else. And we were able to build a global business. And in that moment, I then realized that if you can help a micro producer make a multi-million-dollar business that has global reach, there's an opportunity for us to build a vehicle like Tactive to help SMEs, mid-sized businesses, government agencies to actually create more value for society. So I was literally inspired by the artisans themselves and how they learned to meet global compliance, adopt technology, work in one of the fastest supply chains, and build a reputation that made sense. So that was my motivation.
Amazing. Yesterday I was attending the masterclass in the afternoon, and you talked about the question what is mentorship was posed, and you answered by saying it's sort of a partnership between two parties. I don't know if Victoria is your mentee.
Yeah, I definitely, I would think so, at the least.
Almost everyone he works with is.
Okay, so my next question is over to you, Victoria. For a mentorship to be fruitful and of value, there has to be some. It is actually a sort of relationship. Yeah,
yes.
Of course, you are learning. Both, I would say, both of you are learning. What does it take, of course, for you, to get the most out of your time with this individual, who is mentoring you?
I would say probably intentionality, just being fully invested in the relationship, in the experience, because from knowing what I want, that's where you get most out of it. From knowing what the mentor would like to do with you, that's where you create that common vision and create the most output out of it, basically. So for me, I'd say just being fully invested in the journey, listening to as much as you can, making sure you're more of learning as opposed to saying what you need to say. It's very important to use your ears first before you use your mouth. So for me, I would say learning and listening as much and being totally invested in gaining as much as I can from the experience. Once I know I've done that and I have the goals that I wanted to have achieved, then for me, that's how I know I've gotten the most out of the experience. Yeah.
All right. So of course, throughout the event, we've seen a host of speakers, taking to the stage, like Mr. Matereke himself. You also have taken to the stage,
yeah.
I believe. How has the experience been so far? And of course, as a young woman, what have you learned? Of course, first and foremost, being on the stage speaking, to those listening, and then now being on. One of the listeners now listening again. How has that experience been, and what have you learned so far?
Firstly, the biggest thing I've noticed being in this space is how much people are so invested in ensuring the youth are empowered, and the work that the youth are putting themselves into this into changing this narrative of the coast. That has been so inspiring. Like, people are really, really hardworking here. They're very intentional about the work that they're doing, about the volunteering that they're doing, about the initiatives they're in, about asking questions to people, about networking. So that mindset of the young people here has been so refreshing to see. Having been someone that has spoken in front of them, I think it felt a lot like home, firstly. It felt like I was speaking to people who I relate with them, given our journeys and given the fact that I'm also young. So that's one thing concerning it. And one thing I have learned back is a lot of things about how to put myself in spaces that will allow for my own empowerment as I grow in my own career. And that's, I think, my biggest takeaway has been that just how much this has influenced and impacted me in now taking the next steps forward in my own career and knowing what else to do when I'm trying to reach my goals. So that's basically it. Yeah.
All right. Before we go on a short musical break, Mr. Matereke, yeah? So of course you're working with a lot of Gen Z like myself, and of course like Victoria here.
The hardest job ever.
Exactly. And this leads me to my next question, yeah? Most of the time we have for lack of a better word, the I know it all mentality. You know, how do you like ensure when someone, you know, you've brought someone on board, you know, you are teaching them, you know, some of the skills which have taken you the longest time to learn, you know, networks you've grown over the longest time, you're introducing them to these networks. How do you ensure that, you know, they get to learn that they don't know everything and that there is more room to learn?
Yeah. No. I think I'm actually, it's a difficult job, but it's a job that I love. I am one of the people who is inspired by young people, and I'm inspired by the opportunity that they have. And sometimes they're unaware, right? And while they may come across with very strong ideas, I always say, you know, if you're really that good, then you will get paid. If there's no money on your M-Pesa, there's no money in your bank account, you need to learn to listen more. And it's a conversation about value. I always say you can have two people who sing. On one spectrum, you have Beyonce, and then there's the person who sings in the shower. So there's no question that you have a skill, but you don't know how to create value from it yet. And unless you're willing to really learn from other people, if you're not making that much money, then you really need to be humble. What I try to do is try to give them room to express themselves. Even when they think they're right, I let them fall flat on their face, because failure is what shapes your understanding of the complexity of life. If it's just about ideas, anyone can have an idea. How to make it materialize, that's the hardest piece. But I love Gen Z. I'm interested in learning more about Gen Alpha. And I think if they're empowered and we share all the wisdom and the knowledge that we have gained, you know, millennial, Gen X, baby boomers, and we give it to them, I think they will change the world as we know it. And I'm one of those advocates for them.
Amazing, good stuff. So of course we're going to a short musical break, 10 minutes past 8 in the AM. When we come back, I want us to dive deep into what does Tactive Consulting do. Yesterday I heard something about changing management. Of course, my colleagues would be very interested to hear about this, because each and every time they tell me, Kipto, you're in management, and yet we are suffering left, right, and center. So of course, I will be diving deeper into that. Right about now, I want to welcome my brother, Oti the Entertainer, to take over. And remember, man, to call live KAYE Bacteria.
Listening to Blue
Emoji for the super select. I'm talking about Oti the Entertainer. Anyone looking in right about now, 23 past 8 a.m. You're chopping it up, of course, with man like Kipto alongside Victoria MAINA and KAYE MATEREKE, of course, from Tactive Consulting. Now, for anyone who is wondering what they do, well, you have logged in at the right time. So of course, I want us to get in a little bit overview of what it is like Tactive does. Let's say I have a business and I want to improve sales. I want to improve morale in the company. Do I approach you? How do I approach you? And why is it important for me to approach you?
Great. So what do? We help unlock growth. There are different organizations that are in the consulting space. Some of them help in terms of improving processes. Some of them help you with your financial planning. Some of them help you with improving operations. We are not necessarily interested in just improving. We want to do quantums of growth. And when we come in, we basically are saying, when you say you want to double your numbers, whatever you did last year, you want to do 2x, 3x, we're the right partner. And how we go about that is, we've seen that a lot of businesses are started by people who are good at their craft, like yourself, right? And so you invest in the product and the service, but it's difficult for you to then hire a strategy officer, to hire a CFO, to hire maybe an operations person to help you scale. And so we provide sort of a pseudo service around you that's fractional, which means it's part-time, it's at the cost that you can absorb, but the objective is to help you double, triple your business.
All right, amazing. So I was reading part of your bio, Victoria, and it says you are part of it is brand communication. Yeah. So of course, I believe you've interacted with a lot of businesses and young guys who are into business.
Yes.
What is one thing you've noticed? Most young entrepreneurs, lack, in their business, and how can they improve, so that they can achieve their goals?
The ability to make people believe in your brand. Yeah. The thing with your brand and the things that you say, it's not so that people can think it makes sense. It's so people can believe in you regardless. Yeah. Let's take an example. If you are a musician and you get to go to many gigs, yeah, and you have this thing about your performance quality that just makes people come to you regardless, not even because you are the best singer, not because you are the best instrumentalist, but not because you're the best performer out there, but because there's a quality about you that people see and they believe in. So when it comes to small businesses, that's the one thing I've noticed that their communications lack, because it's not being able to know what your vision is, what your values are, what your story is, what your entire narrative is in general, so that people are convinced of you and end up believing in you in future. So one thing I would say, it's just being able to invest in what you're telling people about your business, being able to tell your story as effectively as possible so that the customers you're looking at are able to come to you regardless. They can, even if they don't have money, they will still buy. That kind of willingness to be able to believe in your business and to be able to be invested in your product or service. Yeah.
All right, amazing. They say leaders are readers. I believe you are a leader in your own right. What books are you reading, of course, and this cuts across obviously to you as well? Are you reading, of course, that can motivate and give insights to anyone who is, of course, a young person listening to us right now, who wants, to start a business, grow their business, that they can, of course, take on, grow their skills?
Of late, I would say I prefer to listen as opposed to read, because I love listening to podcasts. I've listened to a couple so far. I listened to the Kenyan ones, the likes of Adele, Onyango's podcast, the likes of Murugi's podcast, as well as the likes of I listen to Just Ivy as well, because she gives a lot of financial advice. I listen to a couple of people. In terms of outside of Kenya, there's a podcast by Harvard as well, and there's a podcast by this guy who works with I've forgotten the name of the company. But the things I have learned of late, wow, that's massive. But the biggest thing I'd say is, which is a thing that I've been implementing this entire year, is just the ability to invest in yourself. That's it. Investing in yourself can have so many outcomes to anyone that you meet. You can have the outcome of creating value to someone else, or the outcome of just simply being in a phase of growth. But as long as you're making the necessary steps to invest in yourself, everything else will start coming in. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned from the things I've been listening to this year. Yeah.
All right, amazing. Over to you.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I like that Victoria says that this next generation is not reading; they're actually just listening. And I think it has the same gravity. It's just a new medium that many should embrace. I have a book that I have read over and over. It's one of the most profound investors in the world is Warren Buffett. The reason why he's a profound investor is because he has supported more than, I think, 88 Fortune 500 companies within his group, right? And when you have 88 global CEOs on the, SP 500, it means that you're a phenomenal leader. So he writes a book called Management Secrets by Warren Buffett. He has other books on investments, but I think the Management Secrets is really the book for any business owner. And it really talks about how you need to know how to measure good economics, know what makes a good business, know what makes a good leader, know how to treat money, know how to work with people. And these are all life skills that everyone should have. And I think learning from a manager who has outperformed himself in terms of investments, but also leading titans in industry, I think there isn't a better case. And I aspire to build the capacity within our company to do the same. So I would recommend Management Secrets by Warren Buffett to anyone who's trying to develop themselves, understand more about what it takes to really build a business. And then I would encourage them to apply. Once you read, just apply what you're learning, and you'll start to see the value of that content.
Amazing. Now I have one more question, and then I will go on a short break. Many a times, of course, you have a choice to select, individuals you want to mentor. Obviously, there's a lot of people, who want to come forward to be part of what you do. What are the qualities, you look out for in these individuals before you bring them on board?
Great. I'm interested to hear what Victoria says for sure. For me, I think the top two or the top three things is someone who is willing to listen. I think the complexity is that we want to talk, we want to lead, and you have to find somebody who's willing to listen first. The second is that someone who is confident in their own, what is enough. And I think without confidence, people cannot try, right? And you need someone who has the willingness to try, and it starts from a place of self-esteem and confidence. Then the last thing I think is grit and consistency. You need someone who knows how to roll with the punches, how to stomach hard feedback and take it and use it. And I think grit is sort of a trademark of any grit, consistency. Anyone who you think is the best in the world at anything, that's what they all have in common. So it would be those three things for me.
All right.
Okay, I don't own a business, so in my case, what would be the context?
Let's say you want to partner up. Let's say you have a project, you have to work with a group of individuals. What qualities would you look or seek in them to ensure that this project becomes successful?
Well, I was in uni not too long ago, so let me take personal experience in terms of working with groups, because how working with groups goes in university. But I think one of the things I used to be cognizant of was people who are willing to put in the work. Because that level of commitment to it, I feel like it comes with other things, a lot of which Kay has said, but that commitment allows you to now choose making the right decisions for the work to be done and for the work to be of value to everyone who's present. So I would say commitment, basically. Yeah.
All right, amazing stuff. So of course we're going to a short musical break, and then when we move, we'll be finalizing, of course, with a quick five, and then of course the parting shot from my guests this fantastic morning. Remember, man, you can't trace us anywhere in the world at www.blueradio.co.ke, and as always on all socials.
How to do it, and we start real slow. You just
All right. Florida with Blow My Whistle. And it is, of course, playing on the Breakfast of Champions. Asante sana tena, my brother, DJ OT, the entertainer. Of course, in the building, you're chopping it up with man like Kipto alongside Tactive Consulting. Of course, I'm talking about Victoria MAINA in the building. And, of course, my good friend from Zimbabwe, KAYE MATEREKE, in the building. Now, I want us to get into the quick five, and then after that, their parting shot will be following much sooner. Now, let me get the Mwa Kenya with me right here. So, for my first question, of course, I'll pose it over to the gentleman. Choose between one of the two. Would you rather be a billionaire or a president for one day? Only one day.
Billionaire.
Why not the president? Why does everyone go for the money?
Why not?
I think that change takes time with government, but if you had an opportunity to influence things with a few decisions, private sector is a very agile vehicle. So I think I could get more done in one day as a billionaire.
Amazing. My question is to the lady. Your house is on fire.
Okay.
Your house is on fire. Name two things you will name two things you will quickly go in and come out with.
Laptop and my phone.
Laptop and your phone. Man, technology in this generation. Hey,
Because all the money is there.
seriously? You can go to the bank and access your money. Okay, all right. So, of course, my next question is to the gentleman. The boogeyman is at your door. The boogeyman is at your door. And the question is asking, one between you and your lover, one of you has to die. Who would you choose?
I think I would pick myself because I still think I have a lot to do. So, in all honesty, I would pick me.
You'd pick yourself, yeah? So she would have to travel to the other world, yeah?
Well, the boogeyman came. He had to go back with at least one person.
All right. Victoria, for your birthday, would you choose a gift or an experience?
Experience.
Why not a gift?
Gifts are not really my thing. I don't not accept them, but I would prefer experiences. I'm an experienced person. I think because I think because I love the arts, I feel like a lot of things that are experiences are mostly creations, and I see them as artistic. So travel is artistic in my eyes. Live concerts, artistic in my eyes.
Okay.
Amusement parks, artistic in my eyes. So experience for sure.
All right. If it was for the gentleman, I know many of us as gentlemen, we have received a lot of ties and socks, so I would
watches.
understand. Yeah, and watches. I would understand. The same. And for my first question, over to you. I think both of you will have this one, For right now, we're headed to the festivities. Of course, our festive season is here. Between the two, would you choose to have the festive with the family, or would you stick with your friends and have a sherehe in the big city?
I think because I'm not at home, I guess I'm always with friends and others, so I would go home.
You'd go home, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Family, for sure. That's been our tradition in my family. We always spend the festivities together. I can't imagine not doing it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope the questions weren't that tough.
No.
All right. So, of course, I want us to wrap up in the next 2 minutes. So, each minute to the both of you for your parting shot this morning. Of course, anything and everything you have for our listener. I would like to say ladies first, but gentlemen before, and then we'll finalize with the lady.
Sounds good. So I would want to put a shout out to Swahili Port. I think that Swahili Port Pwani Innovation Week, it's the biggest youth platform that has demonstrated such intention and purity. And I think for any young person out there who wants to find their sense of purpose, who wants to find a mentor, who wants to be around some good people, find your way to Swahili Port and connect with the team. Some of the lessons that I've learned, even as I've been here, is that there is power in volunteering. Even when you have nothing to do, right, you will find your purpose as you give to others. And I've seen this with the culture of Swahili Port year in, year out. So if you're a young person, you are not sure what to do with your time, you want to be around a tech, arts, heritage space, and you want to make progress, even if you're in a difficult place, come to Swahili Port and, so many things can happen. We will be partnering with them as Tactive Consulting. We're also putting a shout out to businesses. If you have a business idea and, you cannot afford McKinsey or PwC, you're a mid-sized business or you are a high-growth business and you want help, we have a team now that's domiciled here at Swahili Port. We have 10 fellows, and we will be participating in making commercial ventures sort of successful at the coast. So I have loved it. I want to shout out to Blue Radio. You guys are doing an incredible job. If you're listening, invite others to listen. This is how we get that vibe out there. Thank you.
All right, over to the lady.
Honestly, everything I have to say is not really different from what Kaya said, but I'll just add, firstly, again, shout out to you guys. This has been so cool for me. Also, one thing that has been so inspiring for me being here at Swahili Port, it's the fact that Swahili Port, aside from being able to give the youth opportunities, it has provided so much hope for them. And that is such a huge thing that I've noticed here. And I've been inspired, I've been touched, I've been moved to keep going personally when I go back to Nairobi. And the biggest lesson I've learned here is that growth is not just by chance. It's a result of forces working together, and everything you see here is different forces coming together to ensure that these youth have the opportunities that they need. So my biggest thing would be telling other people out there, if you're not in Mombasa, if you're in any other region, that if you are looking to grow, find different forces. So that you can have a bigger result as opposed to just being one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for making the time. It has been amazing. I've learned as well, always. I know you could have been anywhere today, this morning more importantly, but you've made the time. So I appreciate you one more time. As we wind up, I'd like to welcome my brother. And of course, remember, as always, we are here live and ready to bring you updates on the Pwani Innovation Week as they happen live and direct. So remember to keep it locked. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll be having Winnie Bwire, of course, telling us about her story about cancer survival. So, of course, you want to stick around for that as well. Coming up in the next hour.
When you switch on your radio, it's pure vibes. Make no mistake. You're listening to Blue Radio, bringing the vibe.